Hello and welcome everyone to another exciting episode of Amphibious Analysis. Now today we're going to be going on a journey with the Federation and their attempts to combat Zeon's amphibious mobile suits with amphibious mobile suits of their own, and to no one's surprise, it's going to be a gym variant. So let's jump in because we have 3 to cover. So let's introduce the RGM-79U Gym Sloep. And while the U can stand for many things, my guess is underwater, a slope is a small boat with oars and a mast. Now this guy is as simple as it can be. It's a gym with scuba gear. Pretty much that. But how did he come to be? It all started from the Federation losing too many mobile suits, ships, bodies, just things to the mechanical Zeon crustaceans. They underestimated the damage these cuties can do and needed a solution fast. So the Federation went to work and developed equipment that could be used by their standard mobile suit, the gym, and allow it to partake in underwater activities. And so the Sloep was born, and at its base it looks like a gym, but it has these leg attachments, the basilisk tanks, on each leg, and a unique propulsion backpack which allows it to move. But it had some extra goodies like the sonar pod, which can surface and recon the area while the Sloep is underwater. And he also has this tiny little thing known as the sonar gun, and this is a good segue into his weapons. He has the head Vulcans found in standard gyms. And that's it. Due to his backpack, he's not equipped with the beam sabers, and the sonar gun I mentioned is just that. It's a reconnaissance device. And why is it external instead of internal? Well, the base of the gym doesn't have any internal sonar devices, so if he wants one, he's gonna have to hold it. Which, in the bright side, is not too bad, cause it's not like he's gonna hold anything else. Now, the lack of weapons is alarming, but thankfully the Sloep is classified as an amphibious reconnaissance mobile suit and never saw combat, which is awesome because if any of his equipment were to get damaged while underwater, he would no longer be the Sloep, he would be a gym with broken scuba gear. Horrifying. But how was he? He could recon, but if he ran into any problems, you're done for, and it's still a humanoid mobile suit underwater, so like the amphibious Zaku's, it had joint problems and underwater pressure problems, and while it had the leg balance to help him underwater, it had problems diving and staying down there, so it used this fancy dynamical dive method, which with combination of the thrusters and backpack was allowed to reach depths which it couldn't. How exactly it did this? My guess is the pilot just slammed the gas and aimed downwards. The Sloep honestly would be better as a mobile worker or like a civilian class mobile suit than a machine of war. So the Sloep didn't do much, and this shows because eventually every Sloep was converted back to a gym or dismantled. However, it did do one big thing. It helped the Federation test the waters in amphibious mobile suits, and with this knowledge, they went back to work and made the RAG-79 Aqua GM. Visually sharing nothing with the Sloep, besides being a gym, the Aqua brings a nice smooth look that even stands out to other gyms. Going to the name, we have R that stands for Renpo, which is Japanese for roughly Federation, A is for amphibious or aquatic, and G is for general purpose or general type. And 79, it was the year it was made, UC79. So we have Renpo amphibious general type year 79 Aqua Gym. And as a side note, I do find it odd that it doesn't have the naming scheme the gym has, as in RGM, which is Renpo General Machine, and some say Renpo Gundam Mass Production Type. Looking at it, RAGM just looks ugly. Ragum sounds weird. RAG looks nice and clean, you can pronounce it as rag as well, so there's that. Getting a little sidetrack. Anywho, utilizing the prior, the Aqua Gym would be the Federation's first combat-ready amphibious mobile suit, and due to the rushed development, he was kinda sort of all over the place. So let's go into details and starting with numbers. If you look at him, his stats are what you expect with a gym variant. Nothing alarming, he has the same head height of 18 meters, and at max weight he's 64.3, that's 5.5 heavier than the gym, and at empty he's 49.5, which is 8.3 heavier. And as for his generator output, yes, he's an amphibious mobile suit, however, he's still a gym, so he's not going to have anything impressive and only has 30 kilowatts higher than the regular gym with 1280. But now for the key differences. Being amphibious, he's equipped with a liberal amount of hydrojets being on his shoulders, backpacks, legs, and soles, and the propulsion they give surpasses that of the Zagok. But due to being based off the gym and his rush development, he can't utilize that propulsion like the Zagok can, and he does have problems with the underwater pressure and his joints acting up. Now onto the Aqua GM's bread and butter, and that's his armaments. And there is a key feature about him and the next mobile suit we'll cover have, and that's the use of standard manipulators, allowing them to hold weapons which open up his arsenal. And just so I can say it here, all three of these mobile suits can use standard Federation weapons. If a gym can use it, there's no reason these guys can't use it. It's just for obvious reasons, you're gonna equip amphibious weapons for the amphibious mobile suit. First up is his main weapon, the missile and torpedo launcher, a pretty weird looking weapon that has a neat gimmick to it. It houses two types of weapons. First up is the 5-tube launcher on each side. These are 10 in total and fire a series of small rockets. Pretty cool. And if we look at the back of the weapon, we do see two things that look like magazines, so this might hold more ammo than it looks. Now if we look at the middle of the weapon, these two white parts here, this houses two massive torpedoes almost the length of the gun itself, with one on top and the bottom. As a whole, this gives them some strong underwater firepower. These torpedoes can be nasty towards things like mobile armors, subs, or naval ships, and for the smaller things, he still has those small rockets. Now if that's not up your alley, we do have another option for the main weapon, and that's the harpoon gun. Usable in both land and water, it holds up to 4 harpoons that are almost the length of the weapon itself. And I almost forgot to mention that these things explode, so if the initial impaling doesn't do the job, maybe the boom will. And that's that for that. Not much to say about the harpoon gun, the name says it all. Besides the exploding thing, it's straightforward. But it does have a cute little side note, and that these harpoons can be used on their own if needed. You just gotta be a little careful cause, you know, they do explode. So for main weapons, you have a pretty diverse choice. You can either choose the missile and torpedo launchers for explosives or the harpoon gun for more explosives. Anyways, staying on the topic of explosives, on his shoulders we have the torpedo pods. Holding 4 each, they're the generic torpedo weapons that shoot straight up, found on things like the Zagok and the Zaku Mariner. Onto his forearms we have the hand anchor, simple wild grapple claws that are only limited by your imagination. And don't mistake these for things like the Goof's heat wire or the Zaku Mariner's magnet harken, because these are just grappling hooks. They do not shock or stun mobile suits upon contact, just grappling hooks. Also he has 2 of them for some strange reason. And finally we're moving on to his melee weapon, the beam pick, a beam saber made to work underwater. Located in the waist armor, he has 4 of them for some strange reason. While they're still beam sabers, they have a few weird things about them. First thing is they're depicted much shorter than a regular beam saber. And the second and most important is how they activate. You see, if you activate a beam saber underwater, it produces a lot of heat and burns through energy fast. So the Federation thought of a neat little gimmick to help this. The beam pick has a pressure mechanism, where if it comes to contact with something, like mobile suit armor, it activates the beam saber, and when it doesn't, it turns it off. This allows the beam saber to be deployed as short amount of time as possible, but still being as effective as possible. This is an extremely smart and interesting way to make beam weapons be used underwater. Good on the Federation. And while solid against sea craft, there's a teeny problem that Zeon's amphibious mobile suits for the most part have iron nails, melee weapons. Have fun trying to boop a Zagok while it's coming straight at you. And in my research, I didn't see if the Aqua GM had a regular beam saber. It looks like all 4 of his beam sabers are beam picks, meaning if you're on land, you still have to do this to activate it. Wow, if this is true, that is terrible. But moving forward, the Aqua GM was an alright to mobile suits. It was better than things like the Zaku Marine Type, but like it was plagued with similar issues. Joint and underwater pressure problems, it had a humanoid design which wasn't hydrodynamic, and was based off a inferior mobile suits, the Zaku and the GM. And that's gonna come back again, that this thing was just heavily limited by the fact that it was based off a GM. And to make matters worse, instead of working on more amphibious Zakus, the Zeon decided to just make amphibious mobile suits from the ground up, just so everything that can be designed to work in water. And because of this, another problem rises up. The Aqua GM's weapons are cute. I like harpoons are cool, but Zeon's amphibious mobile suits will soon have a standard of having beam weapons. And this all comes back to his rushed development. He's just all over the place. He has some nice amphibious weapons, but not as nice as Zeon's amphibious beam weapons. He has a beam melee weapon, but the beam pick has a problem, and the iron nails are just more practical. He works underwater and he can get the job done, but not nearly as well as Zeon's amphibious mobile suits. Now, to end this on a positive note, the Federation can do what they do with the gym, but with the Aqua GM and use quantity over quality. The Federation can do what the Federation does best and throw bodies at it. If a problem arises, the Federation can just huck Aqua GMs till it goes away. Or they can just huck Aqua GMs till that problem becomes a ace problem. Then we have a different problem at hand. But also, the Aqua GM was a step in the right direction because it did lead to the next mobile suit we'll be covering. Before we do that, let's go over some variants. First up is Gundam Rebellion, the manga version of Stardust Memory. We have the GPO-1 Aqua, which is a GPO-1 that's been equipped with the Aqua GM shoulders, calf armor, weapons, and a new backpack, which just makes it amphibious. Simple as that. Now, a similar thing's been shown with the GM Dominance, and this leads me to believe if the Federation wants an amphibious mobile suit, they can just slap this armor onto anything and call it a day. Now, in Gundam Thunderbolt, we do have something similar known as the Gundam Marine Type. However, this is based off the ground type Gym, and he's still very similar, has the shoulder torpedoes, have the hydrojets everywhere, just has that Thunderbolt look to him. There's also a manga version, which gets the torpedoes on his shoulders and moves them to his backpack, also gives him a different looking backpack, but still same concept. And to end it off, we have a redesign by Yutaka Izubuchi, and all we have is this draft right here. Unfinished, but it's supposed to be that of the Aqua GM that was going to appear in Gundam War in the Pocket. My guess is in the beginning with the other amphibious mobile suits. Now, we only have the torso and the head, but what I can see from it is, it reminds me that of the Cold District type or the Gym Command. And the only noteworthy thing is on the head it does have a snorkel, which is really damn cute. Now, finally, we get to cover the star of the show, the highlight of the episode, the main dude himself, the Gundam Marine Type, aka the Marine Gundam, aka the Waterproof Gundam, aka the Gundiver. He goes by many names, but Gundam is the most controversial, and let me show you why. Now, we'll be here all day if I try to explain what makes a Gundam, so let me just show you some model numbers. We have the Gundam, the RX-78-2, we have the ground type Gundam, the RX-79G, and the Blue Destiny, the RX-79BD-1. Now, this guy, well, like the Aqua GM, it is RAG-79, but with the additional G1 being Gundam Unit 1. This means he's an Aqua GM variant, a really pampered one, that has the head of a Gundam and is called one. But let's go into detail and see if he's worthy of that head and name. And we can just start off and say he looks the part. This guy looks like a Gundam. His appearance is menacing, it's different. It tries its hardest not to look like an Aqua GM and it plays it beautifully. I love this design, and the cherry on top is the color scheme. That blue and white with the orange highlights, oh god, that's beautiful. And for a completely unrelated fun fact, there is a full armored Gundam that has the same color scheme. But back on track, the point of this guy is to be a Aqua GM that leads Aqua GMs. It's an ace mobile suit for an ace pilot. So we have improved backpacks, hydrojets, thrusters, generator outputs, plus we got a nice overall upgrade in his weapons and equipment. But first, let's talk numbers. And of course, it is a variant, so the numbers are going to be quite similar. Starting with height with 18.3 meters compared to 18 meters, this is due to his backpack sticking out, giving him that little bit of extra. Now, an odd thing about him is his weight. We have a max at 58.5 tons and empty at 47.7, compared to the Aqua's 64.3 at max and 49.5 on empty. And it seems a little weird that he's actually lighter. The Aqua is made out of titanium alloy ceramite composite, while the Marine is made out of titanium ceramite composites, which to me seems like the same thing, but it has to be the problem because their equipment is so similar that it wouldn't make this big of a margin. And the more I think about it, the more it bothers me because I know the answer's right here, and it's after I post this video that someone gives me the answer and then I look like an idiot because it's right in front of me. Moving to his generator, he's pushing 50 more kilowatts than the Aqua with 1,330. Now, these numbers aren't too impressive, but you gotta remember that this was made during the 1-year war, and they both were made very close to each other, so the Federation only had so much time to change things, and most of these changes are in his armaments. So, starting off, similar to that of the gym Sloep, he has a wired periscope, however instead of the backpack, it's on the back of his head. This can surface while he's underwater to scope and recon the area, something that is helpful for a mobile suit that's meant to lead a group. Now for his weapons, they're quite similar, but with a few changes here and there, so in no particular order, first we have the torpedo pods, but instead of being on his shoulders, they're now integrated to the top of his backpack but are used in the exact same way. And moving on to his forearms, on his right he still has the same hand anchor that the Aqua has, no changes there, but on his left we see a change, and this is his harpoon gun. Similar to the harpoon gun found on the Aqua, but now it's mounted onto the forearm and obviously the harpoons are significantly smaller. This is much better than having two hand anchors because, like I said, I don't know the reason why you would need two of them. And yeah, also forgot to say, the harpoons do explode. Only downside is that you don't get the option of holding a giant harpoon channeling your inner fisherman, but you know, we take what we get. And to wrap it up, for main weapons, he can still use the ones the Aqua has, the missile torpedo launcher and the harpoon gun. And as a fun fact, the harpoon gun was actually meant for this guy, but they put on his forearm and the Aqua can use it, so why not let him use it? But now time for the real star of the show, the cream of the crop, and that is the Marine Gundam's beam rifle. Being tailor-made to be used in water, it looks different from things like the ground type or the Gundam's beam rifle. It also has this attachment sleeve that can go over that gives it a curved design, making it more hydrodynamic and protecting it underwater. Now for regular beam weapons, a problem with them is firing underwater. Beam shots dissipate faster and they lose range and power. An example of this would be in the original anime, where the Gundam was battling a Grublow and shot its claw arm with the beam rifle. Normally, this one shot would have gone through the claw arm, gone through the Grublow and come out the other end. But due to them being underwater, all it did was melt the armor of the claw arm. This is also a reason the Aqua Gym doesn't have a beam weapon. It can use the beam spray gun found on the gym, but if it uses it underwater, it'll dissipate before it can actually do anything. So how does this one fare? This beam rifle compared to the norm fires a much thinner shot. It focuses more Minovsky particles into a small area. This allows the shot to dissipate much less and allows it to be more effective in water. Now, it still eventually dissipates, and it's nowhere near as good if it was shot on land or space, but for example, if the Gundam had this instead, it would have punched a hole in the Grublow. And to cover this, just because I know someone will be on my case if I forget it, and just to give you guys the warning, this is spoilers to the manga 8-Guy 2,250 miles across North America. In this, there is a Marine Gundam and it has a special attack known as the secret technique Naruto Straight Hell Vortex, which comprises of it just swimming really fast around the enemy, creating a vortex that keeps them locked down, allowing it to shoot it easily. Now, this is probably the most useless knowledge in this video because this manga is a lot more comedic, so it just has much more freedom with its mobile suits, making them move more organically in a way. But I did want to mention it because I actually really like this manga. I highly recommend it because the main characters are 8 guys, and we don't get a lot of those. You can read it for free online, it's fan translated. But anyways, let's wrap it up. The Marine Type in a short development time boosted the Aqua's performance and gave it some new toys. And due to things like the beam rifle, it could tackle and face Zeon's amphibious mobile suits in water. This gave the Federation the opportunity to fight in water when Zeon's approaching, or launch an assault, giving them access to options they never had before. And it was honestly a pretty cool machine. However, it did have its problems. At the end of the day, both mobile suits were still based off the gym. And to not repeat myself again, it's everything I said with the Aqua GM but applied to this guy and now a little less. And to say again, this is not a terrible mobile suit, it's not awful, it's just nice. The Aqua GM was alright, making this guy better than alright, a neat mobile suit, pretty nice. However, it's its competition that's the problem. And to keep it short, there's no other way to say it, Zeon's Amphibious mobile suits were better. Now right here is when I would gush about Zeon's Amphibious mobile suits and talk about how cool and helpful and awesome they were, but I can say this about the Federation. The Aqua GM and the Marine Gundam were cheaper. Being based off the gym cut a lot of cost, and this was a major problem Zeon ran into. You don't need to know anything about Gundam to look at the MSM line and go, wow, these things look different. Zeon's Amphibious mobile suits were all different looking, had different weapons, different doodads, complicated things for no damn reason. These were expensive mobile suits. And yes, this would later be corrected with the United Maintenance Program, but that was during the end of the war. Now, if the war lasted longer for whatever reason and amphibious combat became more and more, I do think the Federation at one point would make an actual amphibious Gundam. But even with that, I still think the Federation would stick to the Aqua GM and treat it like the gym. They would just make Aqua GM variants. And when problems happen, they would throw a large number of Aqua GMs at it. And this does raise another question, if this happened with the Amphibious gym variants, would they also just make amphibious variants of already existing mobile suits? Would we get a amphibious version of the gun tank, gun cannon? Would gym variants become amphibious? Do we get a gym sniper, gym command, gym striker? The list goes on. Now, for the last time, back on track, the Federation would tackle amphibious mobile suits again. After the 1-year war, the Federation would use captured Gundam Marine types and develop the Gundam Mariner, a extremely questionable decision. And I know meta reason is because they want the Zaku to be the bad guy, but it seems odd that they did not get the Aqua GM or Marine Gundam and work upon that. Because the Marine Gundam, a mobile suit made in the 1-year war, in my opinion is better than the Gundam Mariner, which was made after. But in short time, they would abandon amphibious mobile suits due to the lack of needing them. Battles would take place in space, so you didn't need a mobile suit that could go in water. And this would later bite the Federation in the ass during Gundam Unicorn and the attack of Torrington. Taking place in 096, Zeon remnants would deploy large-scale amphibious mobile suit assault, ranging from mobile suits made from the 1-year war to more modern ones. And in retaliation for defense, the Federation deployed Aqua GMs. And for a spoiler for the Gundam Unicorn manga, we saw a Marine Gundam being deployed. However, it was facing against a Zerzulu, a modern amphibious mobile suit, and you can guess how that turned out. Did I mention how much I love the Zerzulu? It's a beautiful looking mobile suit. But it is a amphibious variant of a non-amphibious mobile suit, the Girazulu. And this does lead me to a question that I want to end this video off with. And that is, how do you think the Federation would do if they produced and put more work into amphibious mobile suits? Now this is a vague topic, but let's narrow it down. What if they made more amphibious variants? Like the Aqua GM, what if they made an Aqua GM 2 or an Aqua GM 3? Gundam Thunderbolt had something like an Aqua gun cannon. But what if we kept exploring? What happens if we had an Aqua Rictios, a Jagan, or maybe a Jester? And there are late UC amphibious mobile suits. It was just something fun to think about. I like the Jester, Jesters are cool. But let's end it off here, and if you're still listening, like usual and like always, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Amphibious Analysis. In not too long of a time, we were able to bang out 3 mobile suits, which is nice. But hope to see you all in the next video. Till then, don't forget to have a good one, and bye bye.